All right, what do you say we just hop right into it? Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate, if you celebrate anything at all. I wish you the best, the happiest, the healthiest holidays that you could possibly have. Thank you to everybody who makes this show possible. Thank you to the mods. Thank you first and foremost to Mel. Thank you to Logan. Thank you to my friends and family. I'm very appreciative and grateful for each and every one of you. And I'd like to thank, also Matt and the people over there on this space, the mods over there, Matt for putting the coalition together. Lots of people to be grateful for, lots of people to be thankful for as we round out another year here at Blunt Politics. And boy, are we rounding out this year with some absolute craziness. And let me just show, do you like it? Hold on. I got the Brian W. Griswold reporting for duty here. Brian W. Griswold officially reporting for duty. How's everybody doing? Let's bring in the chat. Say Merry Christmas. Say hey, hi to everybody. What's going on, Carl? How are you, my brother? Appreciate you. Merry Christmas. What's up, Tina? Hi, Amy. Hi, Just Julie. What's going on? Hi, Andrea. How are you? What's going on? Ask. How are you? What's up, Veronica? Moms. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out as you always do. What's up, Laurie? Thank you, guys. What's up, Michael? What's up, Jin? Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hit that like button on the way in. Hopefully a little bit more of a laid back episode today. We're going to be covering a few of the major talking points that have come from at least the data set 8 of the Epstein release, just to kind of, hammer that home during this, break or, possible couple days that people are going to be going, without podcasts, without, the stuff that they're usually consuming on a daily basis. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the chat. Thank you so much. What's up, David? What's going on, guys? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. What's up, Ladder Hacked Areas? What's going on, brother? Hopefully he hasn't cracked too many yet. Showed me a nice little bottle he's got waiting for today. Nice little bottle. I appreciate it. He'd fit right in with my family, with my Irish family. I know that. But yeah, just a few things that we're going to be diving into today. A few of the emails, a few of the documents, a few of the reports from the FBI, from the DOJ that people had called in that directly named Donald Trump, that give very specific, detailed accounting of some pretty horrific and horrendous activities. So again, to have Kash Patel sit in front of Congress and testify that there was nothing in these documents that would, lead him to believe that other conspirators were perpetrating these crimes along with Jeffrey Epstein, along with Ghislaine Maxwell, is just it's unbelievable. It's ridiculous, and a lot of people are rightly calling it out, as such. So let me throw this back on here. Appreciate you guys. And then I'll toss these. And again, trigger warning for anybody that is, easily triggered, or this, is sensitive to material like this, or has had something, grievous and uncalled for and damaging happen to them in the past. A few of these, a lot of these are hard to read, but again, these are reports made to either the FBI, the DOJ, and again, directly naming people like Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, obviously Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others involved. But I think it's important that we continue. And as by the second, people, citizens of this country, people all over the world, fucking media organizations all over the place dig through these files, and they sift through these files, and more is found. We need to make sure that we're highlighting and make sure that we're getting this information out there for the people that are doing the work that the DOJ, the FBI, and Donald Trump don't want people to do, which is sift through these files with a fine-tooth comb and find every name, every instance, every possible redaction that can be unredacted, right? Every name that was mistakenly not redacted, question why any of the male faces in there were redacted, why the females' information and faces in a lot of these accounts weren't redacted. I mean, again, you can see where the emphasis was for Donald Trump, the DOJ, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and it clearly wasn't protecting and making sure they did everything to, again, protect the victims in this case, whether it be redacting their information, names, details of it that, give it away, their direct faces in this, while also doing, all of the work in the world and making sure they're sitting there as detailed as possible to redact the criminals, to redact the monsters, the males in this, investigation. So let me throw this up on the screen here. This is just one of the instances and pieces of evidence that people are talking about and discussing. And again, this is, let me throw this up here. This is posted by OSINT Defender, and it says horrific account from the alleged victim of Ghislaine Maxwell obtained by the FBI in August 2020, describing sexual assault and torture by Maxwell alongside Prince Andrew, as well as being drugged by her father and forced to participate in pedophile ring parties, quote unquote, at 6 to 8 years old in Surrey, England. And again, like I said, trigger warning for anybody that this that relates to. But again, this is from, the date says 8/15/2020. You can see the case ID here. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein child sex trafficking case drafted by, and then that's blacked out. Date and time received 7/13/2020, 8:02 p.m. Threat to life. For some reason, it says threat to life false submitted text. Not sure what that means, but as the text is written, as the account goes by whomever reported this, it states, when I was 6 to 8 years old, living at blank in Surrey, UK, I was drugged at night, driven by my father, which is just how there are people like this in the world that exist is beyond me. How. Yeah, you understand. You understand. We don't have to get too deep into it. Like I said, we only have so much time. But it's sickening on so many levels, and so infuriating on so many levels to read shit like this. But again, to a quote, what they call pedophile party rings, that says the main house I was taken to is located behind Thorpe Green at the end of a private road. Hurst Farm Livery Stables is next door. So very detailed and specific on where they were taken, what businesses and establishments are around that area, so you can corroborate this information. In the driveway of this house, I was hit by a dark blue car with a personalized license plate ending in blank, driven by Prince Andrew. I don't know why they'd blank out why would they blank out the license plate and then tell you who it was driven by anyway? But then I was not taken to the hospital, it says. And let me make this a little bigger on the screen. My apologies, just in case anybody's having a little trouble. There you go. So it says, where were we? It says, I was driven by, that car was driven by Prince Andrew that she was struck by. I was not taken to a hospital, but I suffered permanent injuries to my ribs, hip, leg on my right side. The car's hood figurine broke off in my hand on impact, and I later buried it near my home so it could still be recoverable as evidence. Another thing that would go heavily to corroborate this information, instance that they're talking about here. If they could provide that and match that up with the car that it was taken from, that would be hugely beneficial in this case. I woke up, she says, they say, after I was hit by the car, I woke up to Prince Andrew, blank, 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 blank. I mean, no, the mind goes in so many places when you hear Prince Andrew, and then you have to blank out the next several sentences. But it says after that, I have medical records of the resulting infection. I once ran from the house naked. I made it to the Irish traveler community down the road, given specific GPS coordinates here. I remember seeing and speaking to a man. So I think there may be Irish travelers living in the area who could corroborate what goes on there. So basically saying, hey, I do recall speaking to somebody in the area, and if that specific person isn't still around, you can be damn sure that people should probably know in that area of the stories of what was going on. So you could probably talk to them and kind of corroborate some of this information as well. I was also taken to another house later, and I put on a table and later tortured with electrical shock by Ghislaine Maxwell and surrounded by watching men. I remember seeing Prince Andrew's face, and then it says blank, blank, blank. I tried to sneak out. Maxwell caught me and beat me with the bristle end of a broom. Blank, 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 blank. She also threatened me, saying I, quote, deserve to die, and hit me in the face with the broom, breaking my nose. I was only taken to the hospital for the broken nose after a rugby match so that the injury could be blamed on that. Right? And this is EFTA 0002. What is that? 0457, in case anybody's wondering and you need to reference that specific one. But again, should there be any more information needed? And you can say, okay, if there was one of these FBI reports in there like that stated something like this, you could kind of, there might be a way where you could chalk that up as to being, okay, look at all of the, the different allegations, all of the different reportings, all you could point to is this one specific instance. And then, okay, it would probably lend them some credibility in that. But guess what? There's so many different instances like this that it's impossible. Again, pairing that up with what we know about Donald Trump's past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the number of times he was on his flights, on his jet, The time that in the Epstein files that has been released, aware that there were multiple times where it was just Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump with a name that has been redacted, thus leading us to believe that it was a victim with just the two of them, right? The pictures, the videos, adding all of this, putting all of that together. And there's absolutely no way you could come out with any other instance in otherwise than saying that Donald Trump absolutely knew 100% about every single one of the egregious crimes that were taking place. Whether or not he had direct activity in themselves it's looking more and more and more like there's direct evidence in these files to suggest that Donald Trump, yes, did actually, in fact, have direct involvement in these crimes. And it wasn't just money. It wasn't just him letting Jeffrey Epstein poach the underage girls he had working at Mar-a-Lago, right? He was much more involved in this than previously said by anybody or thought by anybody in this. So let's continue, because this is another one here. Let me throw this on the screen. This one was posted by the account is Hazel, and then it says, according to an FBI tip found in the Epstein files, President Donald Trump allegedly raped a 13-year-old girl who was pregnant at the time. Trump was also allegedly present when the newborn baby was murdered and thrown into Lake Michigan. Right. And again, this is FBI reporting. So tip lines. So people calling in, giving their accounts, giving their tips, giving their, their stories to go with this investigation. Right. So this is just to be fair, just to be very clear, this is by no means like confirmed activity. Right. This has not been thoroughly, these specific allegations, to the best of our knowledge, as far as we've seen released in these files, is not something that has been specifically investigated and corroborated or denied or anything like that, right? But these are several different tips from several different people that point the finger at Donald Trump, that say that Donald Trump knew absolutely that what was going on, not only what was going on, but had direct involvement, right? And again, we'll read this because, and again, trigger warning for anybody that relates to. This is sick and egregious and demented stuff. And I'm sorry that we have to go through it, and I'm sorry that we have to deal with this right now. But unfortunately, these are the times that we live in. This is the hand that we are now dealt. And I find it incredibly important to make sure that we go through every single one of these prominent and salacious pieces of information that point directly to the president of the United States, the current president of the United States, being engaged with acts of pedophilia, with the sex child trafficking ring. Bigger than any other that we've seen before in history, potentially, with dealing with more high profile and rich clientele than ever before in history. So I'll just read this. And this says age December. And let me just make sure this is the whole thing and not just a little bit of it. Let me see what this takes me to. So I'll just make sure I'm looking at the whole page. So we'll do this. So I'll share this one like this so nobody can accuse me of, and I'll hop out of the way. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see unclassified FBI intake. You can see the case ID number, 8803-2020, drafted by blank, date received, date, the time, right? So this says details. On 8/3/2020 at 5:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, blank, date of birth, blank, email address, blank, address, blank, Los Lunas, New Mexico, 87031, cellular telephone number, blank, internet protocol, IP address, blank, which resolves at Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87114, submitted an online tip to the FBI National Threat Operations Center, the NTOC, via tips.fbi.gov to report a follow-up tip regarding being a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. It goes on. Note, blank is a real name and AKA name is blank. Date submitted, 8/3/2020. Transaction number. You can see the transaction number there. Threat to life, false submitted text. It goes on. I previously provided a tip about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, under an alias I have for myself, blank. All the other details of my previous tip match all the information given in today's tip, except I am given my real name. A detective from NYPD FBI Sex Trafficking Task Force called me a couple weeks ago from a 212 area code number. I talked to him for about 20 to 30 minutes about my about being sex trafficked by my uncle and Jeffrey Epstein in 1984 while I was 13 and pregnant. I told him other important information about other high-profile individuals involved in my sex trafficking and the murder and disposal of the newborn daughter because I gave birth to her while in the middle of this sex trafficking ordeal. I cannot remember the detective's name, nor do I have the number. It goes on. Where can I contact him? I would like to have his name and contact information. I would also like to know if there will be any further follow-up. It goes on. Questions. What was the exact time of occurred? Child sex trafficking and infanticide. It says, when did the crime incidents occur? Please provide approximate date and time. Then it goes on to say May through September 1984. Where did the crime incident occur? Mostly from a yacht in Lake Michigan, originating from Mona Lake, Michigan. Goes on here. Complaint information blacked out. Subject information, first name Jeffrey, middle name blank, last name Epstein. Then it goes on here. Additional info. I just wanted to reconnect with the original detective that called me, and I offered the information about this. How is contact known? He was orchestrating a deal along with my uncle where different men, a few women and girls, would come to a variety of boats and yachts, pay money to force me to do blank with them when I was 13 and pregnant. Then it says address blank, city blank, zip blank. And then it says here, witness information. First name, Donald. Last name, Trump. Age, 70, right? And again, these are just tips coming into the hotline. That goes on to say, just trying to find out the NYP detective on the FBI sex trafficking task force that called me a couple weeks ago and spoke to me about some of the issues. He participated regularly in paying money to force me to blank with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of the body in Lake Michigan. And it goes on to give what it looks like longitude and latitude. But again, horrendous stories, horrendous accounts from people calling in with, direct and specific, very detailed information about people, accounts, times, dates, what boat they were on. I mean, this isn't just like some random passing joke. It doesn't seem like in this where people would just, prank call in the FBI. I think we can at least make that fucking stretch at this point. Right. And again, put this up with all of the other information. We're not saying to hold this up on its own. We're not saying just this. Put this with all of the other information that that has come out in this release, other releases, past investigations, right? Just put it all together. And it goes on because that's not it either. We'll put this one on the screen because this one was posted by Brian Krasenstein, and he's been doing some pretty good work, regardless of what you think or, like or don't dislike about him and his reporting. He has been doing some pretty good work relating to the latest releases on the Epstein files. He was the one that I saw put out the video about being able to unredact some redacted sections of the files. He's also been doing some good work on his Substack and putting together some of the most, again, salacious or important emails or documents that have been found so far. And again, this is changing by the second, guys. People are right now, as we speak, sifting through these files, trying to dig through them, looking for names, dates, details, anything that they can find that was supposed to have been redacted that wasn't, anything that looks like it shouldn't have been redacted that was. So again, this is changing as the words come out of my mouth. There's probably more information to be gleaned, to be learned from all of this. So it's going to be a task to try to sift through all of the reporting, all of the independent journalists, all of the YouTube channels that are doing great work on this, and to come out with all of the accurate and most important information that we need to give to everybody. But I hope to do my best here. But again, this goes on. Massive breaking. Dataset 8 at the Epstein files shows that a victim stated that Trump and Epstein raped her and that a limo driver heard Trump in the back speaking to, quote, Jeffrey about, quote, abusing girls. The victim then, quote, committed suicide in January of 2000 after reporting the incident. Police didn't believe it was suicide. Share this everywhere. And again, if we read this, I'll put this on the screen for you guys. Obviously, clearly, a lot of it being redacted here. It says, blank asked blank about his time driving a limousine for 2 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. During blank time as a driver, he met Donald Trump. Blank noted he picked up the president in 1995 and took him to the DFW airport. Blank reported some of the things President Donald Trump had spoken about during the limo ride while on his cell phone, and they were very concerning. Blank reported that he was, quote, a few seconds from pulling the limousine over on the median and within a few seconds of pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying, end quote. This is, again, the limo driver listening to Donald Trump on the cell phone, reportedly, allegedly with Jeffrey Epstein, and he could hear what they were saying, and it was so fucking sick and so gross and so egregious and so infuriating that the limo driver says that he was this close to pulling the fucking car over, ripping this son of a bitch out of the back and leaving him on the fucking highway, if not beating him to a bloody pulp right there and then. Which, in my view, in Boston, probably would have been done a lot sooner. You wouldn't have thought about that twice. You just would have done it, and then afterwards you would have been like, oh, I just did that. Yeah, you did. That's just kind of how we roll. But it goes on here. Let me see here. Where were we? A few seconds for pulling the limousine over to the medium, then a few seconds of pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying, and the caller chose not to. Blank noted Trump continuously stated that the name, quote, Jeffrey, while on the phone, and made references to, quote, abusing some girl. Blank was unsure. So do I need to make this big? Can you guys see this all right? Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit. Sorry. Why? Now, how does that possibly make it smaller? All right, well, I'm sorry. That's about as big as I can make it. I'm reading it out to you, so I apologize. But abusing some girl. Blank was unsure who he was talking to, nor was he referencing, or who he's referencing. As Blank talked about at this time meeting Donald Trump, Blank immediately said Blank demeanor went to stone cold. As Blank stated, quote, he raped me. Blank said, quote, what? As Blank replied, Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein, end quote. Noted some girl with a funny name. Blank noted some girl with a funny name, quote, took me into a fancy hotel or building. That's how it happened, end quote. Blank advised Blank to call the police regarding the incident. As Blank stated, quote, I can't, they will kill me. On Christmas Day, Blank contacted Blank, stated she had, in fact, called the police about what they had talked about. Blank told Blank she had, quote, done good. Blank did not hear from Blank or Blank until January 10th, 2000. Blank reached out to Blank, stating Blank was dead and noted she was found with her head, quote, blown off in Kiefer, Oklahoma. Officers on the scene, and Blank stated there was no way it was a suicide. Coroner stated it was a suicide. Blank later stated Blank committed suicide because Blank had gotten cocaine from a Mexican drug cartel. Blank feels the murder is a cover-up, is a cover for Ghislaine Maxwell, right? So again, a very detailed, very specific, right, story, recounting of what took place. Not only who it was, who he was talking to, what they said, his emotions, his feelings at the time about hearing what was being talked about, right? Goes on to, very specific. The girl in this case said that she couldn't say anything because they'd kill her. Ends up saying she did end up saying something. And then, lo and behold, she ends up being found dead with her head blown off. Nobody believes it was a suicide. None of the police, none of the law enforcement on site believe it was a suicide. But somehow the coroner's report and later other people there were, I'm sure, paid off to label this, or allegedly, reportedly label this as a suicide, as a cover-up. And again, don't put this up with itself. Don't hold this out and try to use this as information. Just put this with everything else. Put this with all of the other information that we know. All of the other information that we know. And it continues, right? I mean, how many different arrows do you need pointing back to the President of the United States to prove, or at least suggest on a very fucking, very prominent basis, that he absolutely, at the very fucking least, had all of the information, if more information than most people on this planet, to tell him, to show him, to let him know exactly what was being done, exactly what was taking place, the crimes happening with his friends and his buddies all over the place. And again, this is the very least that we can come out. Otherwise, he's directly involved with the crimes, with the sex acts, with the children. That's the only other outcome here. That's the only other fucking outcome. But what more do we need to see? What more needs to happen? What more needs to be released to prove that this man has been lying through his fucking teeth the entire time he's been talking about this? That he absolutely has a lot more to hide than he's leading on, that he's telling his base, than he's trying to get through to the mainstream media. How much more needs to be released? And that's not to say I don't want to see that it shouldn't be released. I'm just saying, at what point do Congress take action? At what point do the American people take action? With the President of the United States, now we have almost definitive evidence, but definitely circumstantial, a large amount of circumstantial evidence to put him at these places, in these planes, with these victims, with the underage girls, right? Owning Mar-a-Lago, which Jeffrey Epstein was poaching a lot of these underage girls from, knowing about the fucking Eastern European girls that Jeffrey Epstein was fucking buying, basically. You know? It's unbelievable. And again, this is going to change by the second. More information comes out by the second, and it's looking worse and worse and worse for Donald Trump with every document that comes out. With every document that comes out, and that's exactly why the fucking DOJ found it necessary to release that little statement that they released with this latest fucking tranche saying, hey, look the other way. Anytime you see Donald Trump's name referenced in these files, it's a mistake. It's false. It's fake. Don't worry about it. Because they know how this looks. They know what this fucking points to. Right? And they know just apparently don't have the time or the hands or the personnel to do all the redacting that they needed. Right? Donald Trump's in these fucking files. So I think I saw somebody say just with what's been released by the DOJ, Donald Trump's been named in this like 600 plus times. So from saying that Donald Trump's not in the files, it's a Democratic hoax, right? It's all made up by Democrats. Bill Clinton wrote this in a fucking, he not only was he involved, but he made it up at the same time. Like, everything that they're saying makes no sense. And then to come out and be like, okay, his name's in there 600 times. We now found out that he's been on the fucking Epstein's jet a lot more than previously reported. Not only that, but with Epstein and a victim in this case, them two alone with the victim on Epstein's private jet. And again, all of the other information that's been coming out, who he knows, who he's been hanging out with, what he knew, where he was. What else do we need to hear? Lock that son of a bitch up and lock him up now. And any other politician, I don't care if you get an R or a D next to your name, any politician that in any way voted against or stood in the way in any shape, any fucking shape, form, or fashion, and delaying the release of these files to come out, should be fucking arrested and imprisoned immediately as well. I mean, that's just the way this shit is so horrendously egregious, right? And has clearly, been covered up, right? There's been a clear and concise cover-up, a conspiracy by different agencies within our government to redact the names of the criminals, to redact the names of the monsters, while flagrantly denying the victims, in this case, their anonymity. Again, goes directly to show who the government cares about, who they're really worried about. And it ain't the fucking victims. I can tell you that much. It ain't the fucking victims. But I'm going to throw this on real quick because the I've Had It ladies kind of had their reaction to what's been going on lately. And I just wanted to kind of pop that on for you guys to see if we could get a little bit of what Jen and Pumps have been feeling with the latest releases. And then we got a new 20-point peace plan. I'll kind of just run through that at the end of the show by Ukraine. Apparently, this Reuters article says Ukraine unveils 20-point peace plan proposal under discussions with the U.S., and then it goes on to list the 20 points. So we'll just kind of quickly see if we can go through those 20 points and see what has changed, how much has changed. But let's see if we can dive into a little bit of this I've Had It podcast episode titled Trump's DOJ releases fake Epstein suicide video. What are they covering up? And I'll just throw this back on the screen, and away we go. Appreciate you guys.
The Epstein files continue to be the Grinch that stole Trump's Christmas. The cover-up and the incompetency is crazy. Jennifer, look at this. DOJ releases shocking fake video of Jeffrey Epstein suicide as part of a file dump. What in the world is this? I mean,
there's been so much going on, and I've been trying to really dive into like the meat of what's been released so far in like names, dates, times, specific accounts. I haven't really touched on this specific one so much, nor do I know too much about it. So is this like an AI video that the DOJ was they either were faked out themselves by, or they made and tried to fake us out? Do you guys know a little bit more about this? They'll probably tell us, but I'm not, again, so much going on, so much happening as far as this is concerned. This one kind of slid past me, so I'll let them kind of give you the ones and twos here.
I haven't watched the news in 24 hours, listener, and I told Pumps, just gather up the most recent crazy news stories for this Christmas, week drop of iHip News. And I just like, I'm just speechless. It's just insane that this stuff just goes on, and it's just not met with that much resistance.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I watch a lot of true crime. So I feel like that if I were as big of a corrupt criminal committing Trump administration official like Pam Bondi, who's been corrupt for decades, I could cover this shit up better. Like, the cover up is so terrible. They have 1,000 FBI agents on it, all, doing all this nefarious redacting. And they release the fake suicide video. And they also release.
Let me see if I can pull up, just because I'm kind of curious now, again, if they made that video or if it was like a previously made DOJ AI Epstein video. Just kind of curious now. Fake video purporting to show Epstein suicide released. DOJ, let me see. Epstein survivor on DOJ's handling of files concerned about what is being redacted. Here's how the DOJ released. So let me see what this says. Fake video purporting to show Epstein suicide released by DOJ, then taken down. The Department of Justice on Monday released a fake video. I'll throw this up on the screen. Fake video purported to show convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's death by his own hands. The clip was part of the latest batch of files in the Trump administration released related to Epstein, but was then later taken down without an explanation from the department. The fake video apparently made it into the FBI's Epstein files because someone had emailed it to the Bureau with a query asking if it was real. According, Jesus Christ. Somebody else made it, asking them. Somebody else made it, and then somebody else sent it to them being like, hey, is this real? And then without corroborating or confirming or denying that, they just literally released it with the fucking... Again, it goes to show, and exactly what Jen and Pumps were just saying, as it pertains to like the carelessness, the incompetency in which they're even going about just something as simple you would think as redactions, right? Take the victims' information. Anything you see, the victims are the most important in this. That's what your main focus and thought should be, right? Anything that shows a victim, anything that would, kind of tell you who a victim was or given a date or an address, right? Or a nickname or anything like that. Like that should have been their specific focus. Their one main focus was the victims. Protect the victims. But it's clearly not, right? And clearly the simple task of redactions couldn't be followed or met, the standards of that couldn't be met by these incompetent assholes anyway, because apparently, as we showed on this show, you could unredact, some of the files. It was either done in Adobe this or Adobe that, and it wasn't done in the right format, whatever it may be, the ins and outs to it. You could quite literally copy and paste it onto a notepad and see anything that was redacted in a certain section of these files. So clearly incompetence shown right there. Incompetency shown right there and proven right there. That's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. What was that? What if that was direct personal information of the victims? That you couldn't, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that would now be in the hands of MAGA, of QAnon, of the Proud Boys, right? That you just can't excuse that. Nor could you put a number on the chain on how their lives would change. Right, which is why some of the victims in this case that did have their fucking information released here, not redacted, are so pissed off. So again, exactly what she's talking about here is like they just don't give a shit about the victims. You can see how sloppily everything was handled in this case, right? They didn't. It seems like to me, it seems like they never expected that this was going to be an outcome. To me, they wholly expected Donald Trump was going to put a stop to this. He was never going to have these be released. It was just never going to happen, and they were caught with their fucking pants down, right? And basically, they spent the time doing what they could to redact what they found, Donald Trump's name found in these files. None of the other information was redacted, and they're scrambling behind the scenes. And again, there was reported by, I think it was Ben Meiselas on Midas Touch this morning, was talking about just how many files we may be looking at here, we're talking about, and he could, he kind of suggested it could be up to like 10 million plus files. And if you put that as to with like how many how many have been released, I mean, we're talking about a ridiculous amount of files and information and documents and pictures and videos, wiretaps, whatever it may be. So again, they're fucking scrambling hard, and apparently they're hiring like independent people to come in and help redact these files or something crazy. If you can, I think Ben did a video on it this morning. We're not going to have time to cover it here, but if you want to head over to Midas Touch and check those videos out, I think he does a little bit of reporting on that, which is wild to hear anyway. But let's dive back into this, and she's 100% right. Clearly, everything about this has been mishandled. It's been misjudged at every turn.
Okay, so Republicans Against Trump publishes a report from an attorney at the Southern District of New York, wherein the email says, in a January 2020 internal email, an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York wrote that flight records showed Donald Trump.
Yeah, and this is the one that we were talking about on the show yesterday. This is the one that we specifically showed yesterday that talked about, oh, hey, just to let you know, Donald Trump was on that jet a lot fucking more than we originally thought. Right, for your situational awareness, I'm going to read it again just in case anybody wasn't around yesterday. It says here, for your situational awareness, we wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously had been reported. And then in parentheses says, or that we were aware of, including during the period that we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. Basically saying, and as we stated on the show, this would make Donald Trump a direct fucking witness, right? Just like the people that were with him that were then called to testify or then called to be witnesses in the case, Donald Trump would then be a direct witness in that what would have been the Ghislaine Maxwell case. He is listed as having traveled with, among others, and at various times, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, his son Eric. On one flight in 1993, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein are the only two listed passengers, and on another flight, the only three passengers are Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, and a then 20-year-old blank, blank, blank. Clearly being a victim, that would suggest. On two other flights, two of the passengers respectively were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. We've just finished reviewing the full records, more than 100 pages of very small script, and didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. Signed, blank, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York.
Traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than has been previously reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. So this whole thing about I wish her well is coming to fruition. As we have said over and over, Trump is ass deep in the Epstein files. He's friends and a co-conspirator.
Right. And again, Todd Blanche put himself directly in the path of the moving train, right? That speeding train coming down the tracks. Todd Blanche, on with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, put himself directly in the path of that speeding train. That bullet's coming down the tracks, and it was aimed directly at Donald Trump, hypothetically speaking. And Todd Blanche jumped right in front of that when he said, oh, don't worry. I mean, as we already know, and as policy states, he is directly in charge of things that happen at the Bureau of Prisons, right? So then he states that any moves, any changes, any change in policy goes to his desk, and it's his responsibility, right? Therefore, the illegal move of Ghislaine Maxwell from her already cushy fucking position, considering what she was convicted of in Florida, to her even more cushy position and facility that she's in now in Texas, afforded all the rights in the world. She's outside breathing fresh air, right? She's got a fucking puppy, reportedly. She can do, after hours activities to the extent that the officers themselves at this facility are frustrated, are pissed off at the way that they even have to treat this woman, right? So that is being directly relayed right back to Todd Blanche, and he said he gave the okay. We know there was some special waiver signed because, anybody convicted of what Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of is not eligible to be housed in a facility that she's housed in. per the Bureau of Prisons policies, rules, and regulations, right? So again, Todd Blanche directly throwing himself in front of that bullet. Jesus.
Ghislaine Maxwell, and the cover up is so bad that 1,000 FBI agents weren't able to redact this. And then, of course, they pulled it down. Once they released it, they figured it out and they pulled it back down. But the question is, are you surprised at all that Trump and Maxwell are all buddy-buddy?
No, I thought that was well known.
Well,
isn't it?
Well, he's acting like, oh, well, my DOJ went down there. I mean, I don't know her that well. We weren't that good of friends. I mean, he lies and lies and lies about it like it's a casual, hi, I saw you at Mar-a-Lago.
I think the thing
we used to have that. I mean, the same thing she's talking about. We used to have that sound clip here of, let me see if I can find it real quick, of him wishing Ghislaine Maxwell well. I mean, I'm sure you guys all remember that one. Let me see if I can just real quick. I know I have a ton of them back here in these files. Let's see. I don't think I have it marked right. I'm not going to take your time up, but I mean, I'll pull it up for one of the next shows that we have because obviously this is going to be continuously talked about. But where he, wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well directly up on the podium in front of the world. Fucking, it's like, what? Did you just, what she's been convicted of? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I don't have it actually listed per the name of it, but I'll find it and I'll put it on here and we'll have it on here so we can continuously remind people of just what Donald Trump said about Ghislaine Maxwell and how that, goes hand in hand with her special treatment, hand in hand with how Todd Blanche, obviously made this special waiver come to fruition so she could get this special treatment. The possible pardons that have been thrown around for Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, all of it is just, it goes hand in hand with all of the other information that we know about Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, their past relationships, where they lived, how they partied together, what they talked about, their alike interests, to keep it fucking PC or PG, if you will. I'll put it all together. I don't understand how anybody with a fucking brain inside their noggin, with a head on top of their neck that resides on their shoulders, could be like, nope, clearly he's got nothing to do with it. Like, what is Meg? Hold on. My mom called. I always got to take mom's call. Hello? Hi, Mom.
Did I call you?
Yeah, I'm on the show. Everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. I must have hit it by accident.
All right, I love you.
All right.
Merry Christmas. I'll call you after the show.
All
right, bye. Sorry. When mom calls, you got to answer. That's a call you're always taking, especially on Christmas. I mean, it goes without saying, right? But yeah, where was I? All right, we got about 15 minutes left. But again, like I say, the information on this is coming hot and heavy, fast and furious. And, the more eyes that are on it, the better. And the more reporting that is done on it, the better. And again, here at Blunt Politics, we're going to do our very best at gathering all that reporting, all of the articles, information, videos, any of the testimony, whatever it may be. And we'll bring it right to you guys. Just the factual stuff here, as we always do. But let's dive into, as we only have a few minutes left, and I'll let you get on to your friends, your families, your loved ones here on this Christmas Eve. Let's just dive into a little bit of what's happening with this Ukraine peace proposal, if I may. I appreciate you guys for indulging me and letting me talk about these things. I know a lot of people get frustrated when, anything other than domestic policy is discussed, especially with such, egregious activities going on and dangerous times here in the United States. But again, we must do our best to look at the broader picture as well. So again, just to kind of unveil the reporting that's been going on this morning, this says Ukraine here on Reuters says Ukraine unveils 20-point peace proposal under discussion with U.S. And then it says here, President Volodymyr Zelensky outlined for the first time the main points of a draft 20-point framework peace proposal discussed by Ukraine and the United States, which he said could become the basis of future agreements to end the war with Russia. And why I think this is important, obviously, besides the main reasons of ending this war and returning Ukraine to its sovereign borders and making sure that they can remain a democratic society. This is the first time, or at least the most prominent reporting of Ukraine actually not only being involved, but also having their voices heard, or their demands, or at least their changes to these peace proposals, or at least what the fucking, the nonsensical peace proposals that were going around originally, what they state, right? And I haven't read this yet. This is the first time I'm seeing it with you guys. It does go over the points here. It says, after weeks of talks to modify an earlier 28-point draft, the ridiculous Russian proposal, which it says, as many saw as supporting many of Russia's main demands, Zelensky said that the most positions had been brought significantly closer. Ukraine and the United States still had not reached consensus on two main points: control of territory and the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Zelensky said calls for talks with U.S. President Donald Trump to resolve them. But let's just go over some of the points here. Below are the points of the draft proposal as unveiled by Zelensky and shared by his office on Wednesday. 1. Ukraine's sovereignty will be reaffirmed. Okay, now, again, this doesn't specify too much. Ukraine's sovereignty will be reaffirmed. I love it. I love what it states. I'm all for it. Specifically, what that entails and what that's regarding, again, we'll probably have to wait till a more detailed report comes out. But obviously, we want to see Ukraine remain a sovereign country, a sovereign territory. Which, again, that is just stating in generality. So that's good. Number 2, this point will envisage a full. Okay, so here's number 2 relating to number 1. This point will envisage a full and unquestionable non-aggression agreement between Russia and Ukraine. We've done that dance before, but I guess it's something that is going to have to be kind of installed into these peace agreements. It specifies that to sustain long-term peace, a monitoring mechanism will be established to oversee the line of contact through space-based unmanned monitoring to ensure early notification of violations and to resolve conflicts. Okay, it specifies that to sustain long-term peace, a monitoring mechanism will be established to oversee the line of contact through space-based unmanned monitoring. So satellite reconnaissance, like that's pretty much how they'll be doing the. I'm trying to kind of get that through my head here, trying to, put that into terms on which I can relate to what it looks like on the battlefield, on the front lines, right? So it specifies that to sustain a long-term peace, a monitoring mechanism, so basically something monitoring the lines of demarcation, wherever they may be, at the end of these peace talks, should be done through space-based unmanned monitoring. So again, that just leads me to believe satellite reconnaissance, different photography and images that would monitor the battlefield and the movements of both sides in whatever area that we're talking about, as far as I can see from that. So again, I have no issues with that. I'd also like to see, I hope that's not the only point of monitoring, like the only mechanism for monitoring. I would also love boots on the ground, NATO boots on the ground, to make sure that we, deter the Russians from ever enacting anything like this again, or, taking pot shots, again, depending on where the lines of demarcation actually rest when this is all said and done. Okay, so number 3 says Ukraine will receive robust security guarantees. Love it. Ukraine will maintain its armed forces. What are the security guarantees, though? Again, we'll have to wait till a more detailed and specified report for that. But I hope they are, like they said, robust and substantial. Again, all of this to deter, to prevent Russia from ever thinking they could take on something like this again. We need to make that same thing we need to do here in the United States. Same thing we need to do. We need to make fucking examples. We need to make examples of Donald Trump. We need to make examples of corrupt politicians. We need to make examples of corrupt fucking careerists inside the government, wherever they may lie, right? We need to make examples of fucking treasonous traitors and assholes, whatever it may be. We need to make examples of people that supported the criminals in the Epstein files, that defended and engaged in the cover-up of the Epstein files. So people down the line, whoever gets in these positions, whoever gets into fucking office, whoever gets president, does not fucking think that they can get away with the same shit. They know damn well if they even attempt something even remotely fucking like this, that they'll be fucking strung up on the fucking town square by the American people, and that we're not going to fucking stand for it, hypothetically speaking, right? So that's the same thing we need to do here. We need to make examples out of Russia. We need to fucking punish them to a point where they say, okay, this is no longer fucking worth it. We cannot go through this again. We cannot afford to go through it again. We can't lose what they just reached in 1.2 million casualties on the battlefield, right? That's what we need to do. Make it so fucking hurtful. Make it sting so much that they never want to fucking try it again. That's why it's so important not to give them any favors, not to reward them at fucking all for this. That just gives the entire wrong incentive. That gives them the incentive to do and perpetrate these kind of crimes and acts on other countries, so they can get more for their money. It's crazy. But then it says here, 4, Ukraine will maintain its armed forces at their present strength of 800,000 personnel. The earlier U.S. draft had called for Ukraine to reduce the size of its forces. But there was one proposal that I saw. Was it the European proposal that said that Ukraine shouldn't have to? But I guess that's obviously a concession here. That's a concession in my eyes. That's a concession by Ukraine, by Zelensky. Because I know for a fact I saw a report, and there's been so many of these different peace plans to come out that it's kind of hard to put my finger on which one it was. But I believe it was the Europeans' proposal that stated that Ukraine shouldn't have to limit its armed forces to any size, right? So this is now Ukraine saying, "Hey, we'll stipulate that on our own accord we will keep our military the same size as it is now." Which, again, if they find that to be something they can maintain and something that is, still able to defend their sovereign territory, then absolutely no problems with that. And again, that's just, like I said, a sign of Ukraine giving up concessions, right? Something that they shouldn't have to do, but they are willing to do, showing that they are willing to, engage in these peace talks in good faith, and that they do want this war to end. They don't want to be attacked and murdered on a nightly basis anymore, which, again, we didn't have to guess on. But again, the way that Donald Trump and the Republicans talk about them, that has to be specified, right? So 5, the United States, NATO, and the European countries will provide Ukraine with security guarantees that mirror Article 5, the Mutual Defense Clause of NATO's founding treaty. Love it. Love it. There's no reason why that Article 5 should go anywhere. There's no reason why that still shouldn't be upheld. So I have not only no problems with that, but that should be an absolute must. 6, Russia will formalize a policy of non-aggression towards Europe and Ukraine in all necessary laws, all required documents on ratification, including ratification by an overwhelming majority vote in the State Duma. So Russia will formalize a policy of non-aggression towards Europe and Ukraine in all necessary laws, all required documents on ratification, including ratification by an overwhelming majority vote in the Senate by the State Duma. Again, I guess that has to be in there, but as to like what that actually says about Russia, you can't take their word for it, right? There's no peace agreement. There's no, there's no document. There's no treaty that they're going to sign. There's no law that they're going to pass or ratify that is going to lead anybody that knows anything about the Russians or Vladimir Putin or how they operate to believe that they're doing it in good faith, right? So again, it's maybe something that technically has to be in there. And, maybe this is kind of like almost like a form of embarrassment to say that, hey, the State Duma on a majority vote has to pass all of these laws saying that they will not attack Europe or Ukraine, right? So, they're making it go just that step further by saying it needs to be a majority vote, not just a vote in the State Duma. It needs to be a majority vote, which obviously Vladimir Putin would have to, kind of work and feather behind the scenes and threaten people to vote the way that he wants them to vote. But again, nobody on any side, I think, really trusts any of the agreements, even if fucking Russia is to kind of agree to them, right? So again, 7, Ukraine will become an EU member. Ukraine will become an EU member at a specifically defined date. Ukraine will also receive short-term preferential access to the European market. Love it. No problems with it. Love it. 8, Ukraine will receive a strong global developmental package, which will be defined in a separate agreement on investment and future prosperity. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Several funds will be established to address economic recovery, the reconstruction of damaged areas and regions, and humanitarian issues. The objective will be to mobilize $800 billion to help Ukraine fully realize its potential. Love it. Right? Something that is going to be incredibly important, when is all said and done, when the guns fall silent, right, is the reconstruction of Ukraine, building up the incredibly fucking damaged areas that have been just completely wiped out of not only people, but, fucking buildings, shelters, anything in that area. The cleaning up of fiber optic cable. right? I wish I could find, I know I don't have much time here. I wish I could find that video. It's an incredible video by United 24, guys. And if you go look that up, I believe it's a short. I just don't know when it was posted, how long ago. But it shows basically a short video of a town in Ukraine. And it is just absolutely covered from end to end with fiber optic cable that just looks like really thick fishing wire. And just think of how damaging that is to the environment, how incredibly difficult that is going to be to clean up, right? The labor involved in that's going to have to take place to clean just that up, right? And again, we showed a video from United 24 where soldiers on the front lines themselves were being sickened by the wildlife being caught up in these, in the fiber optic cables, the birds being caught up in the drone nets and stuff like that, and the damage the toll that is, being, taken on these areas, on the, again, not just the people, but the wildlife, the environment there. So, pipes, roadways, railways, bridges, fucking plumbing, heating, electricity, all of that in all of these areas that are hopefully rightly going to be returned to the people of Ukraine is going to have to be rebuilt. And that's absolutely something that needs to be focused on, thought about, and planned for. And it's good, obviously good to see that it's in here. Number 10, Ukraine will accelerate the process of concluding a free trade agreement with the United States. Zelensky said that the U.S. position was that if Washington were to grant free trade access to Ukraine, it aimed to offer similar terms to Russia. Ukraine will accelerate the process of concluding a free trade agreement with the United States. Zelensky said the U.S. position was that if Washington were to grant, that's just horrendous. So basically, Zelensky's saying that the U.S. is telling him, basically, if we offer free trade access to Ukraine, it has to also be offered to Russia. Why? Russia is the aggressor. Russia is the criminal here. They are the ones to blame. They are the ones that should be punished. And again, if I'm reading that correctly, and correct me, anybody that's watching this at a later date, if I'm misrepresenting that at all, but that's what it says to me. It says Zelensky said the U.S. position was that if Washington were to grant free trade access to Ukraine, it aimed to offer similar terms to Russia. Why? Why is that a thing that we need to do? Why are we trying to appease Russia? Why are we giving a handout to Russia? Why are we offering in any way, shape, or form the same things to Russia that we're offering to our fucking ally and the people in the country that was forced to give up their nuclear arsenal, on the promise of protection from the United States in the event Russia does or did the exact fucking thing that they undertook in 2022 and prior to that in 2014. What the fuck are we talking about? So again, first sticking point, and that's not a point that Ukraine's put in there. That almost seems like an aside to that put in by Reuters, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at another copy of this and see if it's kind of written the same way. This might just be a rewriting of the points by Reuters here. I'm not 100% sure. This says 11. How much time we got? 2 minutes? Crap, my bad. All right, so let me fly through these. Ukraine will confirm that it will remain a non-nuclear state in accordance with the Treaty of Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Zelensky said no agreement had been reached with that one. As we talked about, Ukraine and Russia commit to implementing educational programs in schools and across society that promote understanding and tolerance toward different cultures and eliminate racism and prejudice. Ukraine will implement European Union rules on religious tolerance and the protection of minority languages. No problem with that. Territory, Zelensky said that it was the most complex point as yet unresolved. I mean, I think that's pretty clear and plain to see that territory is going to be the major sticking point, right? Russia wants Ukraine to withdraw troops from all territory. Russia wants Ukraine to withdraw troops from territory Ukraine still controls in the eastern Donetsk region. Kyiv wants fighting to be halted at current battle lines. Washington has proposed demilitarized zones and a free economic zone in the part of Donetsk region controlled by Kyiv. 15, reaching an agreement. How much time we got? About a minute. After reaching an agreement on future territorial arrangements, both Russia and Ukraine undertake not to alter these agreements by force. 16, 17, and 18, 19. So we'll have to go over those at a later date. I don't want to cut into Jeff's show at all. But so far, from what we've gone through, definitely much more positive in favor of Ukraine than anything that we've seen so far, which is exactly why Russia will never agree to it. That's exactly why I can tell you right now, Russia will never in a million fucking years agree to that plan. Not going to happen. not what they want, not what they're looking to have happen. But again, Merry Christmas, happy holidays to each and every single one of you out there. Thank you to everybody on this space. Thank you to Matt over there for, again, putting together a great coalition. Thank you to the mods over there for doing everything that you guys do. I really do appreciate it. I know how much time and energy and bullshit you guys deal with and put up with. So thank you to everybody on this space. I'll let Jeff Waldorf take over now over there. For everybody on Blunt Politics, hang around so I can thank everybody individually over here. But thank you to everybody on this space. Take it away, my main man, Jeff. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays from, Boston Brian and everybody here at Blunt Politics. Thank you, guys. All right, let's see if we can get into thanking some of you fine, fabulous people here on the Blunt Politics side of things. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much for being involved in our daily politics, being involved in the most important time in politics in I don't know how long. Like, it just, to be involved and to be informed right now gives you such a leg up on the competition, gives you such a leg up on people that are just wholly misinformed, wholly ignorant as to what's happening. It gives you the ability to win in arguments, to educate people yourselves. So again, as you're around friends, family members, loved ones, coworkers, whatever it may be, if you hear some bullshit, call it out. I know it's holidays, and I'm not saying for you to bring up anything during the time, but again, if you hear some bullshit being spouted by, fucking racist Uncle Jack or whoever the fuck it may be, Aunt Karen, whatever, then you make sure you call that bitch out, okay? Don't let that shit slide, no matter where it is, where it lies. Again, that's just kind of my opinion. Take it or leave it. you may not be as aggressive or as contentious as I am, but again, that's just kind of how I say to play it. But yes, we're going to be continuously keeping our eyes peeled on what's coming out of, again, different people diving through these files, who's named, what the stories are, what the reporting says, what the lies from the DOJ and the FBI and Donald Trump are saying. Donald Trump's been freaking out on True Social, but again, that's not anything that we need to kind of dive into. He's just been saying the same shit, talking about different news agencies and how they need to be scrapped. Again, the president really talking about getting rid of the free press openly on his True Social account. But yeah, I left him a good response on that one, so I think he'll enjoy that one. But yes, thank you so much, guys. Thank you to all the mods. First and foremost, thank you so much to Mel for everything that you do in making this show possible. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for being just incredible. I really do appreciate everything you do. Logan, my man, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you again to the mods, to the chat. You guys are fantastic. I hope you guys have a wonderful day with, again, friends, family, loved ones, whoever it may be. And again, if you are, finding yourself to be, kind of alone or down in these times, then, feel free, please, to reach out to either myself or anybody in the chat or, whoever it may be to have a shoulder to lean on, somebody to talk to, some comfort, whatever it may be. Because again, we also understand that the holidays are a very tough time for a lot of people as well. It's not always sunshines and rainbows for people. So we have to make sure that we are taking that into account. So thank you to the mods so much. I really do appreciate you. Let's get into thanking some people here on the old Venmos, and then we'll get into thanking some people on the old YouTubes, and I'll get you guys out of here. And yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, somebody was thanking me for the Blackhawks jersey, and I don't want you to think I'm repping it just because I'm a Blackhawks fan, right? It's my Brian W. Griswold jersey. So, all right, let's go through thanking some people. Jenny Faye. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. Jenny Faye says, Merry Christmas to you, Mel, Logan, and your entire family from me and Corey. Thank you for using your voice. You truly represent the best of us. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Jenny Faye. I appreciate that. So to you and your entire family, please thank Corey as well. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for your engagement, your passion, your loyalty, your friendship. It really goes a long way in helping the channel, and it really means a lot to everybody here. So from Mel and I, from everybody at Blunt Politics, Merry Christmas to you, Jenny Faye. Thank you, Thomas, as well. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. To you and Victoria. Tom says, Merry Christmas, Brian, Mel, and Logan from Tom and Victoria. And he gives me a nice, Vegas, Christmas vacation gift. So thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate that, brother. Who else? Linda. Thank you, Linda. Linda says, Merry Christmas, Brian. Wishing you all the best this holiday season. I'm so thankful for your contributions to independent media. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate you. And I'm very, very thankful for the contributions that you guys in the chat make to, again, not only my channel, but all of the independent creators that keep this going, keep this information out there. And I can't thank you enough for your passion. And again, spending so much time here. I know it's a lot. I know it's a mundane. I know it's frustrating. I know it's incredibly, anxiety provoking. Right. It's just, and you guys still you come back, show in, and show out, and you're engaged, and you're paying attention, and you're informed. And I just want you guys to know that I recognize that, and I appreciate that for you guys. So thank you so much. I think that was everybody on the Venmos. Let me just make sure. Let me just do the old making shores here. Let me do the old making shores. So yes, Jenny Faye again, Thomas in Victoria. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you so much, Karen, Lori, Dame Dog, Brian, Michelle, Jamie, Yakov, Suzanne, Moms, Teresa, and Ricky. And Claudia and Jim. So that's from everybody from the last few days. So thank you so much to all of you guys contributing to the show, making sure that we can keep the lights on here at Blunt Politics, making sure I can keep some food in my belly. I'm sure at one point we'll even make $1 on this show at some point. All right, let's get into thanking some people here on the YouTubes as well. First off, Mary. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that, Marianne. She says, "Have a Merry Christmas, go Blackhawks. Good choice of jersey." That's the comment I saw. But I just want to make very clear, I am a Bruins fan, and again, this is my Brian W. Griswold jersey for Christmas. Nothing else. Nothing else. But thank you, Marianne. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for your kind contributions. Merry Christmas to you and yours from everybody, and me and mine here. So thank you so much, Mary. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much, Petrazi, for being here for 18 months. Merry Christmas to you. Right back at you. I hope you have, again, a wonderful day with friends, family, loved ones, whoever it may be, fur babies, anybody. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Petrazi, and Merry Christmas to you. And again, how ridiculous is it to hear Republicans say, they don't say Merry Christmas? They don't. Oh, man, we're bringing back Merry Christmas. When did fucking Merry Christmas go anywhere? And again, I may be out on an island by myself, but never in my life have I stopped saying Merry Christmas. Will I also say Happy Holidays just to make it more, more friendly for everybody in case you don't celebrate that specific holiday? Do I make sure to add Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of the other, holidays and people that don't celebrate, right? Like, who the fuck ever stop saying Merry Christmas? It never happened. It's so ridiculous. And again, proving it here. But thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you, brother. Merry Christmas, Brian and Mods and Briantologist. Let's fucking go. Let's go to you. I appreciate you, P. Thank you so much for the 5, and Merry Christmas to you, brother. Moms, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Happy Christmas to all of my kids. Right back at you, moms. We appreciate you for all the loving and the caring and attention that you give us. We appreciate it. That goes for Jenny Faye as well. This is a found family, and I love you all. Wonderful Briantologist. Thanks for being the great group of humans you are. Love, joy, and blessings to you all. Merry Christmas. Very nice of you. And I really do love the community that we have built here. I know, is it a slow race? It's a steady race at that. And I'm very appreciative that we have real, honest human beings in this chat. And it's not a bunch of bots. It's not this unfucking real growth that other channels have seen where it's like, that doesn't seem right. And then when you hear that a lot of these channels are 60% bots and shit, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm very happy and very honored to have you guys here. And I couldn't be more appreciative of the time you spend with us here at Blunt Politics. So thank you, Jenny Faye. I appreciate you. That goes for Bingo as well. Thank you for the 10, dude. I really do appreciate that, Bingo, man. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Again, I hope you guys all have some good food, some good fucking watch, right? Whether that's football or Christmas movies or whatever it is, and just some good quality time with your friends, family, and loved ones. So thank you, Bingo. Merry Christmas to you, brother. Thank you, Ethan, for the 5. Thank you for the super sticker, dude. I hope you have a wonderful day as well. Thank you so much for your passion. Thank you so much for your involvement and your contributions, man. Appreciate that. Helix Fire, what's up, dude? Thank you for the 1 gifted membership. We really appreciate that here at Blunt Politics. Goes a long way in helping the chat. Thank you. We make sure we're thanking Helix Fire for the 1 gifted. And then to round it out today on a fantastic Christmas Eve, thank you, SFL6, for the $7 super sticker. I really do appreciate it. So I'll let you guys go now. Enjoy the rest of your day. No, we're not going to have, obviously, the late show tonight. I'm going to let everybody enjoy their time with their friends, family, loved ones. Take some time off from Epstein. Take some time off from the political craziness. Be in the moment. Make sure that you are telling all your loved ones how much they mean to you and all that. I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, who knows? Maybe if there's something crazy that happens and, if I need to kind of hop on later to report on it after we get home from the festivities and stuff, maybe, who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'll just pop on and say Merry Christmas again. I'm not sure. But as far as the show is concerned, you guys take your afternoon and spend it how you want it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, but keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you stay safe out there again. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, guys. I think one of these buttons takes me out. Would have been good if I had that prepared already, but what are you going to do? Bye, guys. Merry Christmas. Thank you, JD. I appreciate you, brother. I see you. Oh, sorry, Allie. Hopefully you at least get out early. Oh, thank you so much. Right back at you. Thank you so much. And by the way, Beth Ugly Sweat. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the mods. Tiff, Tanya, Loketa, Adam, Mark, all of you guys. Ken, thank you so much. Rocks, all of you. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys are checking out my videos on YouTube, the shorts, the videos, all the posts and stuff. Please make sure you head over there, repost them, give them a like, give them a share, leave a comment. It goes a long way, but making sure that you're out there. Been doing a lot, helping us get some subscribers there at Blunt Politics recently. If you guys can hop over there and share out the shorts, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas, Dad. Love you, big guy. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check me out on Facebook too. I think we're at 291 followers on Facebook. I'll see if we can get that up too. You can also check me out at realbostonbrian.com. Post my short videos and ideas over there. Doing it right, but put on Facebook.
Do we love minors? I love minors. For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate.